Stay tuned because next up is Village Properties Realtor and host of The HOP, that's Home Ownership Podcast. It's David Charles Allen. He's here to tell us all about the latest real estate news in Santa Barbara.
Welcome to The HOP. This is David Charles Allen, Realtor at Village Properties in Santa Barbara, California, with my great co-host, Patty Teal. I'm doing wonderful today, Patty. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, David. Thank you.
Good to hear. We had a hot last week, but looking ahead, a little cooling down a little bit, scattered sunny skies throughout the 70s, but no real surf to report. It's been a really dry summer in that regards.
Oh, well, I know that you surfers are disappointed. I'm sorry.
Yes, it's a little bit sad, but
yeah,
some other ways to enjoy the water, you can still get out there.
Absolutely. And when you say hot, how hot is hot?
Hot was in like the mid 80s. So depending on where you were, could have got in the 90s, but that's pretty hot for here.
That is pretty hot for Santa Barbara.
Yep. And then in terms of the interest rates, we're back up slightly. So 6.375 for 30-year jumbo and 6.75 for 30-year conforming. So we've gone down to the low sixes, bounced back up to the high sixes, and it's just going back and forth between the two.
Right. And so it just depends on the day that your house closes. I mean, it could change that little bit just by the time the house has its final closing papers.
No, it's when you lock in your mortgage. So when you make a purchase offer and you lock in your rate at that point, once you have an accepted offer. So sometimes people wait until it's the loan funds. So the interest rates can go up and down. You can also lock it in right when you make a purchase offer. So, or you could buy a rate down potentially as well. So there's so many different ways and factors you can make it work.
Well, what does that mean, buy a rate down?
So essentially you pay more up front and you pay less in interest. So say it's 6.75%. You can pay an extra $20,000 and you'll buy the rate down to like 6.5% or 6.25, something like that. So generally the numbers work out similarly in the end, but it makes you feel better that you don't pay more over the 30 years. So potentially you could save money over 30 years, but it depends how long you plan on living there. It really just depends on your current situation because you could buy down a rate and have a lower interest rate, but then move in a year. So you just wasted all that money.
I see. So that's something you negotiate with the mortgage company?
Correct.
I see. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah. And then in terms of the performance of the market, we're at 35 new listings, 16 price changes, 24 that closed, 20 that went pending, 5 back on the market and 8 coming soon. So again, really low inventory. We're dropping back down to under 40 at 35, but again, less pending. So we're only at 20 pendings as well. And 16 price changes is another big number.
There's a little bit there to look at, but not very much.
Yeah, there's not very much, but there's still stuff out there. The supply is building up a little bit. So you're able to maybe negotiate better deals in houses that have stayed on the market a little bit longer. And you're not as pressured to make a decision right when you see a house.
Oh, right. I remember when they were just multiple offers the very first day that something was listed. That was really hard for people.
Yeah, it's very pressure filled and you don't get inspections sometimes. A lot of the time that was happening. So kind of just shooting and praying at that point.
Right. So, David, if people are interested in either looking for what's out there or selling their own home, how could they get a hold of you?
Yeah, my number is 805-617-9311 and my email is david@davidcharlesallen.com.
Thank you, David.
Any questions of the day for me?
Well, it's more of a discussion, David. Now that I had to move out to Florida, I didn't have to, but I ended up here. It's not as dog friendly at the beaches. It is dog friendly, I think, in general, as far as people liking dogs, but they can't go to the beach. They always have to be leashed. There's nothing that I found that's like the Douglas Family Preserve. And then I wondered about the rentals. I think one of the main reasons why people who have animals end up purchasing a home is they don't want to have to worry about the search for apartments and other rentals houses that maybe don't allow dogs.
Yeah, so that's always been a funny correlation between Santa Barbara and the rental market. Is Santa Barbara is such a dog-loving place and everyone loves dogs. You can take them anywhere and everyone has one, but you can never find a rental that allows them. So
I wish people would think about that and maybe be a little more generous about renting out their places and allowing them to be dog-friendly.
Yeah, I think it's always going to come down to like the condition of the home as well. So if you have like a brand new remodeled home, you're not exceptionally wanting dogs to stay there in a sense, depending like the kind of dog and maybe bad situations that have happened in the past where a dog has stayed there, their own dog, and they realize how messy it could be. But really, dogs don't make that much of a difference a lot of the time.
They don't. Now, I will admit, puppies can chew things up. Hopefully it's the person's own furniture and not the wood on the cabinets or something like that. Puppies, they're trouble, just like kids. They can make some trouble. But once a dog is a year or so old, generally, they're not going to hurt anything.
Yeah, it's very true. And some people just don't want to deal with it. But a lot of the times you are finding more rentals in terms of like single family homes that allow dogs. You just have to pay a higher deposit.
Right. And sometimes I've noticed in Santa Barbara, they'll allow one dog under a certain pounds, maybe 20 pounds. And sometimes they allow cats and not dogs. Are cats, do you think, less prone to hurt a place? Or is it just an attitude that people have?
Cats could be even more, honestly, just because they scratch their claws are a little more sharp and they scratch more things. And I don't know, it's funny because a lot of people allow cats over dogs, but I think a lot of the main concern too is if it is an apartment or something without a yard, where's the dog going to go to the bathroom? Is it going to be inside all day? Is it going to be barking at the neighbors if you leave him at home? Is it going to just be a barking dog all day? So that's kind of why they don't allow dogs in like non-single family homes where it's very more hard to find because, there's all these issues that like if you're working all day, the dog's literally going to be locked up with no yard. Where is he going to the bathroom?
Right. I had a funny story, David. I can't even remember where I saw this. This complex said you must pick up after your animal, which of course we do. But it was at the red that we do DNA. Any animal that lives here, we have their DNA. And if we find something, we're going to check on who it belongs to and fine you. And it was thousands of dollars. So it was kind of funny, the lengths that they go to make sure that nothing gets left out in the yard.
Yeah, wow.
Anyway, so David, that brings us to Chowdies. You started a new business called Chowdies, and the website is Chowdies, CHOWDEES.com. How is it doing?
It's doing really well. I mean, we just got our large jars in that are all personalized. We've been sending out gift bags. So we do gift wrapping where we put each jar in its own canvas bag and write a little note card. It's been going really well. People are receiving them and are really thankful. And it's been really fun for all the trying work we put in so far.
Oh, that's great. And for anyone who hasn't heard about Chowdies, can you explain how these dog treats are different and more healthy than other treats?
So what we were trying to do was what we created was something that's getting back to its simplest form. And what the simplest form is for dogs and cats and carnivores is raw meat and raw animal organs and bones and stuff like that. And what we did was we created a process where we made raw liver shelf stable. And by doing that, they come out in treat form that you can hand out to your dogs and cats as treats. And essentially, we're doing organic. It's all single ingredient. There's no preservatives in it. So it's probably one of the most nutritious things you could give your dog. And it comes in a treat. And we've had almost 100% guarantee of any dog that tries it loves it.
Well, I will vouch for that. My dogs absolutely love Chowdies. And I was talking to David before we went on air today, and I was saying, I really think it also gives them more energy. It's not that they are sick or don't have energy, but I've noticed that after they've had Chowdies for a couple of days, they're just running around with more energy.
Yeah, well, liver is probably one of the most nutritious organs you can give. I mean, in the wild, there's orcas that actually hunt sharks and just eat their liver and leave the rest of the shark. So in a natural state and kind of Mother Nature's model, liver is probably one of the most nutrient-dense things a carnivore can eat. And it's also one of the nutrients a lot of dogs are lacking because in a normal diet that doesn't include liver or stuff like that, you're feeding them food that has to add supplements added in to supplement that liver nutrients. So you're essentially getting the nutrients without the supplements straight from the source. So that's why the dogs can feel it. like you're saying, you could see a boost in energy from them, all the works.
Yeah, no, it's great. And you've explained before that you use a freeze drying method so that they don't get stale or go bad.
Yeah. So what freeze drying essentially is it freezes the product so it maintains its nutrients and it maintains its shape and its flavor and its color and everything like that. And then it's vacuum sealed so it sucks out all the air while it dries it. So that removes the moisture from it. So what leads to things going bad is moisture content. And without the moisture in the liver, you're able to have it as a dry treat form. So it maintains the nutrients. You're not baking it at high temperatures. So essentially, if you ever bake or dehydrate something, you're losing a lot of the nutrients because the nutrients die off at certain temperatures. Mm-hmm. So by having it in its purest form and processing it at a low temperature, you're maintaining mostly all the nutrients that you'd get if you were feeding it just raw in the first place.
Wow, that sounds great. Healthy, nutritious, wonderful. Well, David, thank you so much. Best of luck with Chowdy's. And again, he's also a realtor for Village Properties. And you can email him at david@davidcharlesallen.com. And if you're interested in the Chowdy's, it's CHOWDEES.com. Thanks, David.
You're welcome. Yeah, Chowdy's with 2 E's. So
did I say it wrong? Sorry.
No, Chowdy's with 2 E's. I think that's just easier to come off the tongue than spelling it out every time.
Right. Okay, thank you, David. Have a great week.
All right, Patty, let's give it a go next week.
Bye.
Bye.